ACCRAS are another one of my favorite Trini dishes. Steeped in tradition, they came to our island through the French influence. ACCRAS is just a simple translation in French to fritters. They're very indigenous to the Caribbean. Indigenous, why? Because the indigenous peoples actually used to smoke their meats and preserve it, and they also used to salt and smoke their fish as well. Traditionally, we use salted cod. Because of the overfishing situation around the world, we've now learned to salt different types of fish. So we salt pollock, we also salt shark, and there are different ways, different types of fish that's salted. For a simple accra, we would want to use salted cod or some type of pollock as well. Salted cod or pollock, of course, has to be soaked first. It's very salty, so we want to soak that for about 2 hours and rinse it out. Not a long time. I soak my fish for about an hour, then I'd squeeze out that water and strip it up. What I find makes a perfect accra is lots and lots of flavoring ingredients, and I like to add lots of different types of herbs that I may have growing in my garden. I've got some Spanish thyme, I've got some Portuguese thyme, and I've also got some chive, lots of chives, which is also called escallion in Jamaica. And I put quite a bit of onions because there's something about the onions when it marries with the salted cod. It gets really sweet, and the contrast in flavors is quite lovely at the end. So we mix all these wonderful ingredients up together. I have some garlic here as well. I've got my chive, I've got some pimento peppers, some pepper sauce. Of course, you need to have that little bit of heat. So we want to chop those up really fine so they get distributed nicely. Put that on to our salted cod. And I'm also using another ingredient that's indigenous to our islands, and that's the allspice berry. Now, allspice berries have their heritage really in jerk. Also, it's a wonderful addition to seafood. It really does add a lovely depth of flavor. And it's also a Jamaican secret that I've stole as well, because I realize in Jamaica they use a lot of allspice, not only in jerk but in other dishes as well, and it really does bring up the flavor. It's beautiful in accras, so I'm going to add a little bit of that as well. I'm using another one of my favorite ingredients, which is also very indigenous, and that is cassava flour. Adapting to cassava flour isn't for the non-gluten property. It really is for the deliciousness of taste and the wonderful texture that it adds to any recipe that you put it into. So I'm going to add some cassava flour. I'm also adding some baking powder, of course, to help that rise up a bit, and a little bit of all-purpose flour as well. All-purpose seasoning that brings all these flavors together nicely, because this has got a nice blend of dried spices. And of course, I'm bringing all this together with a little bit of milk and water. Now, I have found milk in recent times. I started adding milk to my accras because I just find it gives you a more moist and softer end result. Although it fries up nice and crisp, there's something about the inside that gets really nice and moist and delicious. And you just stir that up together, and then you put it into some hot oil. You drop them into nice, let's say about 1.5 inch fritter sizes, and you just fry them until they get brown on one side and they start to really puff up, and you flip them over, they get golden, and they're ready to be enjoyed. It gets nice and golden in the pot, and you can see the little knobbiness there, which I love, because that is what gives it its nice crisp texture. And of course, when you break into that, it's crisp on the outside and moist on the inside. You know, I grew up enjoying accras for breakfast. It has transcended time for quite a while, and now we can find them at carnival fetes. It's a street food in Trinidad. A lot of places, breakfast places, serve them for breakfast. It's a quick snack. It's easy to make. You can make it now for now, and it's really delicious. My favorite way to enjoy an accra is, right, believe it or not, between the folds of fried bake. And I know that's like a double whammy of oil and carbs, but it's just so delicious, and it's a wonderful, wonderful treat.